Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sith Council. It's a Star Wars show here on the SEN channel. And I'm excited to have you back. Today is it's a shorter episode. It's all right. We're in the holding period of Star Wars right now. You know that. Bad Batch had a nice arc last week. This is another one of those filler episodes. I know, they'll say filler. Yeah, it is. Come on. It'll tie into something or something, but who gives a shit about these little silly episodes? But we'll talk about it. I loved it. Next to me today.
I love when you start the shows. It's just so real. Never BS.
Never the, well, everybody, I hope you're having a great day. We're going to be talking about Star Wars, and everybody wants to talk about Star Wars, and that's going to be the show today. There's galaxy, there's Wookiees, there's a whole bunch of stuff everyone's going to love. Not today.
Oh, today, another filler episode, another Friday.
Well, I mean, this usually happens. You know what it reminds me of? It's like when with network television before streaming really came into play was that they would order these 22-episode seasons, and they would have to put in some of these episodes. What the hell are we going to do for so many episodes? I think that this show is running into that at this moment. It's like that it's going to pick up, and they're going to have some, because the Ryloth stuff obviously ties in very well into the overall canon, into everything, and played, I think, incredibly. It showed a lot of Omega as a leader. It showed those skills that we learned about her. It tied in. It shows a lot of Hera. It's great. This stuff, you and I talked about it off air. I do not understand, because they made it seem to me that they're not in debt to this woman anymore.
Yeah.
That she paid off. She paid off all their debt. Why are they still working for her?
I have no idea. I've been thinking about it. I like
just for money,
I guess.
Yeah.
But it seems like it just doesn't make sense. As soon as I thought they were going to open up where they left off with Crosshair.
Right.
And then they just didn't do that at all. They went straight back to Sid's planet, and then we didn't really get much other than the Pike, is the most interesting part.
Right. So and it is one of those things where I think they're going to lead into the Crosshair stuff. They're going to lead into, this is just one of those, hey boys, I got a mission for you. It's like, okay, it's like a video game where if you've been playing the game for a while and you're a little bored, you don't want to get into the main mission today, and you're like, I just want to do a side mission that doesn't really do anything, and I'm just gonna mess around and play with this and play with that. I still want to play with the main characters, and all right. And that's kind of what it seems like.
It was exactly like what you said about last episode. We at least get Hera and we get Omega, and it's character development.
Yeah.
I felt like there was no character development. The only thing, like I said, that interests me is that we have Roland, this guy, who's the son of Issa Durand, and working with the Pike, which makes me think that there's a potential of Crimson Dawn,
maybe
Darth Maul.
That's the one thing I will say about whenever it's Filoni-based or whatever, is that as much as I goof and say up top it's filler, nothing is ever really filler because they use something from one of the episodes that ties in. Even with Mandalorian, when you go back to the Frog Lady and Grogu eating all her her children, and being a mass murderer. But it all ties in, so one way or another. And there will be stuff that ties in, but it doesn't stop the fact that you're watching and you're going, okay, at least I'm watching Star Wars, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff, like last night was crazy drop, because they had Bad Batch that dropped, Ted Lasso season 2, which I still haven't watched season 1.
Oh, you're going to love it.
I know.
And I think the family would like it too.
It's a whole thing. So Ted Lasso. So let me tell you this.
Okay.
So Ted Lasso drops.
Yeah.
Which I still want to watch season 1. Masters of the Universe, which I'm a huge fan of He-Man. If you guys know me, that dropped last night. And Bad Batch. So do you know what I watched?
Masters of the Universe.
Must Love Dogs.
Oh no.
That's what I watched last night. Stuff. Must Love Dogs.
The movie with Julie.
Oh no, it's with John Cusack and Diane Lane. And Black Widow is also a choice, but we settled on Must Love Dogs.
What? How did that happen?
We were going over stuff, and it was so the other night. I mean, I guess we should talk about this on Big Thing. Let's talk about that on Big Thing. Okay. But that's
where Kristian's at.
But I will say, to tie it all back in, the two of the dogs had lightsabers, so it was Star Wars based.
So it all made sense.
It all ties in. It all ties in later on and they apparently know the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So, but no, there's really not much to talk about in this episode, to be honest with you, because there's no new developments with any of the Bad Batch themselves. There's no new developments with Omega-ish. There's nothing. It's the same stuff we've really seen them do in the past. Did you have any other thoughts on it?
No, not. It was kind of like the episode we had with Ahsoka and the sisters when they were on the spice run with the Pikes. It's very similar to that, which was good and bad in a sense. But really, it's just I wonder where it's going to lead up to. Do you know Swole Squidward, Buff Squidward? Yeah. Roland looked like that to me.
Right. I mean, there's always those silly. There's so many silly characters. The silliest character, I think. It's a bold statement, but there's so many silly characters in Star Wars. But I think one of the silliest ones that I just never could get on board with. Did you watch all of Clone Wars?
Yeah.
The talking sharks.
Oh my god!
I can't do it.
What was that? That was the second to last season?
No, not second to last. I think it was like season 3 or season 4.
Oh.
I can't remember what it was, but it was. I couldn't buy into it. I mean, and it's funny because people be like, but you could Mon Calamari, you can do, and I don't know. It's just something like there's just something about
Mon Calamari.
There's just something about talking about talking sharks, and it just seemed like a Saturday morning cartoon that you'd turn off really quick.
Yeah, or the character in the Harley Quinn show, the shark. Voice.
Yeah, well, he's in the Suicide Squad too.
Oh, yeah,
so,
I love.
And so, but I think that's a little different though, because from the way that they're going to set that up. But I don't know what it was in Star Wars. It was just
a little off-putting.
It was a little off-putting with talking sharks. Sharks with freaking lasers,
with laser beams shooting out of their heads. It was called Infestation, right? This episode, I think, and the infestation meant nothing. No. It just was harder to get out of the caves because they have an infestation.
I'm telling you, it was literally like, okay, we have this big arc that's coming up with Crosshair. Because that is how you do it in television, and that has always been my biggest point of why I think TV works better. Because with movies, if they would have made a movie about this, they wouldn't have, but they would have made a movie about this, and 3 years later, you don't get another thing. You're like, that was what I just watched. Like, we don't care. Like, it wasn't a great episode. Next week, can't wait.
It's not bad.
No, it's just not great. Just don't care about it, and it's like, and that's the beauty of TV. It's like, what they know. They're not going to give you those 2 big Ryloth episodes and then jump right back into it, because they want you to get into that feeling of, well, you still got the Bad Batch, and you're like, and then when. It's almost like if the next episode is really good, it's going to seem great compared to what we got.
That's true.
Yeah, not that this was terrible, but it's just they're very aware that this episode, when they put it out, they're like, people will dig it. It'll be fine. They'll do this, but this is not the core of what our story is about.
I agree. I just wish that when they do that, they would have more dialogue between the batch. I think
to reveal a little bit more through character.
We know Echo, obviously, from Clone Wars more so than some of the other characters, but I still want to know them more.
Right. Yeah.
So we got to know Wrecker in the beginning and Hunter a little bit, but Tech is just to say stuff,
right, so
that you know what's going on. I would like to. I think if you're gonna not do so much action, dialogue's important.
Yeah, I agree. So look, there's really not much to say about this episode unless there's particular things you guys want to comment on that you dug. But we're going to move on, and there's an editorial that was on Star Wars Newsnet. If you're not checking out StarWarsNewsNet.com, you really should. They're phenomenal. I've been reading them since like 2014, and I talked about them highly on Jedi Council when I was there, and I talk about them highly here. I mean, we have Lacey and John Hoey from the Resistance podcast in the Schmodown, and I really absolutely love what they do over there, and you should check it out. But Miguel Fernandez wrote an editorial on Star Wars Newsnet, and I wanted to read it, and then we can talk about it on the other side. It is the Book of Boba Fett. It's basically the article that what he's writing here is what we know and what to expect from the Book of Boba Fett. So I think this is really what we're going to talk about here for the majority of this show, because we're not too far away from the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, we're really not.
Really close.
I can't believe we're almost in August.
It's nuts. I know. It's nuts. It's a year and a half is just, it's like time travel. It's stupid.
We don't know time.
It's so stupid. All right, listen, this is from Miguel. The Book of Boba Fett is going to hit Disney Plus later this year, and today We'd like to collect everything that we know so far about the show, and we're going to speculate. This is the list of series of 3 editorials where I'd like to take a look at the information we have right now about the shows in the Mandalorian pocket of the universe and discuss some theories about what could be going down in them. The first one would be about the Book of Boba Fett. Is the first spin-off from the main show. And next week, we're going to discuss the Mandalorian Season 3. I really like this premise, by the way.
Dope.
Feel free to leave a comment with your guests about what you think is going to happen in the show. Go over to Miguel's article and go support him and give some comments on this, because I'm excited to read it, and we can discuss it over here. The Mandalorian Season 2 ended back on December 18, 2020, with a post-credit scene featuring Boba Fett taking Jabba's throne away from Bib Fortuna with Fennec Shand by his side. It was followed up by a big title card saying the Book of Boba Fett. This was, of course, the official announcement of the Boba Fett spin-off series that had been shooting for a couple of weeks already. We learned about it early in November via a report from Deadline, which said such a spin-off was ready to go and start shooting the week after. Many people speculated over the weekend that Book of Boba Fett was actually the title of Mandalorian Season 3. Furthermore, there was actually a theory floating around saying that the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian would be titled The Book of Din Djarin. From now on, and the next 2 would be the Book of Boba Fett. On Monday, December 21st, Jon Favreau was a guest on Good Morning America and publicly announced that the Boba Fett was actually a spin-off series starring Tamara Morrison in the title character and Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand. Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Robert Rodriguez are executive producers. It is totally separate from The Mandalorian Season 3, which will still have Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin in the lead role. The series was shot between early December through the end of April, beginning of May. There are rough dates. We never saw any official announcement of either the start or the end of principal photography. We do know, however, that the series has wrapped. Actress Ming-Na Wen posted pictures of the wrap gifts, and star Tamara Morrison even shared the news in a recent interview with SFX magazine. As the posting of this article, there's no official confirmation on how many episodes the series will be. A rumor floating around these past few months said that there would be 4 episodes. Interesting. Did you know that?
That's what I heard.
Okay. However, given the very long shoot, the episodes could very well be higher than that or longer.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Longer. So that's something too.
They're gonna. My guess is 4 1-hour.
What was
episodes.
Loki? 6.
6.
Loki was 6, and they're about an hour long.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. IMDb is saying that there will be 7 episodes, and since this is IMDb is a very unreliable site for unreleased content and very reliable for already released content. I see. We should always take this with a huge grain of salt. Nonetheless, if true, this would seemingly fit much better to the amount of footage that must have been shot during the 5 months of principal photography. No length has been given for the episodes yet. Right now, we only know that Robert Rodriguez will be directing at least 1 episode, but probably more than 1, as Tamara Morrison confirmed last month. In addition to that, Morrison also said in an interview that Favreau, Filoni, and Bryce Dallas Howard were also back in the director's chair. So let's say that Rodriguez is doing 2 or 3, right? Mm-hmm. Favreau's doing 1 or 2. Filoni's doing 1 or 2, and Bryce Dallas Howard probably doing 1.
1.
Right? So minus an episode or 2 by somebody else, I think 7's probably legit. I wouldn't be upset with 4. We can get back into that in a second. This is another reason why we suspect the series will be longer than 4 episodes. The actor teased that Rodriguez will direct more than 1. Yeah. He said there are some wonderful directors in it. It could mean nothing, but it could also mean that they brought new people to the team, which automatically add 1 or more episodes to the count. Additionally, even though there hasn't been an official confirmation of this happening, there are high chances of the show getting a season 2. Morrison himself said that so far there hasn't been any talk about it, but he didn't shut the door either. This might be appropriate for the speculation section, but there is really no reason story-wise not to go ahead with another season, as there are no bounds for the main character, unless he dies. No story points he must meet by the end of the series run, unless he dies. Also, most of the crew gear we have seen so far is labeled with the Book of Boba Fett Season 1. Here's an example. Spoiler alert for everybody here that doesn't want it. This is for both Miguel's article and for us. If you don't want to hear any more about Boba Fett, you should probably take off. Okay, you've been warned. Before we share these rumored The Book of Boba Fett crew graphics, there was speculation Buccaneer was the working title for Mando Season 3, even as of early December, before Boba's was released. As far as what will be in the show, we don't really know yet. Tamara Morrison confirmed there would be flashbacks set between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and The Mandalorian. What these flashbacks will tell us, we don't know. But we will be interested to see the shape of Boba Fett change as the years go by. You think there's gonna be a lot of de-aging?
I don't think so, because I think
so?
they'll have him in his mask.
So you don't think you'll ever see his face? You don't
No.
really need to. But he's got to look. But the thing is, he was considerably bigger in Mandalorian than he was in the original trilogy.
That's true.
That's the thing, though. It's like, you could retcon it and say, oh, look how he should look. I don't want them to retcon it. He should look the way he did in Empire and Jedi if they're going to do that.
Yeah, but I think they could easily do that. They could have a body double and then have
his voice. Yeah, for sure. They could do. I mean, if they're going to do those flashbacks, and then not show his face. Yeah.
But I still think they would need a body double if they're going to do that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and depending on just like one scene. I mean, you look at you. I still think to this day the best de-aging that I've seen so far in any property. Well, there's a couple of good ones. The Coming to America one was really good. Really good. It was really good. But the Michael Douglas Ant-Man one.
Oh, yeah. That was excellent.
It was really good.
That's true.
It was really good. The Downey one in Civil War, it was okay, but you got away with it because it was supposed to be part of like a VR type thing, so it worked. And Kurt Russell I thought looked good in what the hell, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Yeah.
Not bad.
So if they do that,
and Luke didn't look bad either.
The problem with Luke was that it wasn't him. It was a different actor, right? So they had to like basically replace his whole face because Michael Douglas, it was him. They just de-aged him. Same with Kurt Russell. They just de-aged him, and same with Eddie Murphy. The Luke one is noticeable to me more so because you're replacing a face on a face the same way you did with like Tarkin
did the same thing
and Tarkin, right? So it was like it's noticeable. Yeah. It worked fine. I would never want to see a full series of somebody like that. A scene, no, like a scene. If Boba Fett, they're showing flashbacks, and like you said, it's a body double. You hear his voice, and he's doing his thing, and then his helmet comes up for a second, and it's a de-aged for like a minute or something. Who cares? That's fine. Even if it's noticeable, who cares?
I agree. That wouldn't bother me at all.
Not at all.
It rarely bothers me unless they do like when they were going to do a full James Dean movie. It's
funny. I still don't mind that as much. I think Roxy and I.
The whole movie.
I think Roxy and I are the only ones who.
Yeah.
Because even though I'll go take it back a little bit. The reason why I am not comfortable with doing it for Luke for the whole season or series or an episode is because my eyes aren't tricked yet. If you can trick me, I don't mind it. I wouldn't mind to see. I mean, I feel today if they did a Bruce Willis Die Hard movie with young John McClane, that computer animated one that they come up with, if they could really make it real, would give you a better performance than Bruce Willis today anyway. Because Bruce Willis checks out in every movie. He's Bruce Willis in every movie. Yeah. But if you could actually do it and you could change it, it's a scary thought because you're like, well, actors will be replaced and this and that, but you still got to pay the guy for his likeness. You still got to pay him for everything. If the agent's good enough, you'd be like, hey, you can use him for whatever you want. Just pay him the same amount you would if he's doing it. And I know it's a different. But the generation will be in the Ready Player One age that, to us old fogies, yourself included, at that point, would be. This is not right. It's not regular.
Feel weird about it.
Weird actors, but to them it's going to be
normal.
It's going to be normal.
I know. I need to keep reminding myself. I don't want to be the person who's aging and it's like, why are you doing that?
It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
You dang kids.
It's inevitable, and it's just part of it. Yeah, it's like there's my wife and I were watching whatever movie it was on the 80s the other day, and we're going, I don't make movies like this anymore. And how many times did you hear that? How many times do you hear your parents say that?
All the time.
All the time.
You kids.
You guys don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. The 80s were the best. It's like, nobody.
Everyone who was in the 80s really does rep the 80s.
Yeah.
It was a good era.
Yeah, you missed it.
I know. Just missed it.
You blew it.
Yeah. I'm going back in time, though. We'll talk about on the big thing. Yeah. I've been rewatching 80s watching 80s movies for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, we definitely should talk about that. 80s movies and even a deep dive into late night. I mean, because when the Sopranos finds its way into every show I do now, but the Sopranos, if I was to guess, when the Sopranos came out, because it was shot in 97. It didn't air until 99. So I would assume that you were around.
That's why season 2 they look so much
different.
old. Yeah.
Pilot. From pilot to it was a year later when they shot, or 8 months later after they shot the pilot. I would guess you were around from 99. I would guess you were around 6 or 7 years old when that came out.
99. Yeah, I was 6.
Yeah, so you weren't watching The Sopranos. Anyway, but Boba Fett, there's nothing. Additionally, a report published last month by Collider said that the Book of Boba Fett would be acting like The Mandalorian season 2.5 with characters from the show appearing in Boba Fett. Well, that's look. The thing is with this show is that it's going to serve as a platform similar to what the MCU does, where they can bounce back and forth and they can introduce new characters. They can bring people in. I think what they did with Cad Bane, bringing him back in Bad Batch, allows them to bring him back in this. I really hope that they do. I don't care. Me too. I mean, I assume we'll see him again in Bad Batch. I don't need to see him again in Bad Batch.
No.
That enough to me. Set it up that he knows Fennec.
Yes.
They've had interaction. Let that stuff play out for
100. And now they have beef because they really went after each other.
And Boba Fett and him have beef.
Yeah.
Because of the whole the shot in the head that he gave him, and that dent in Boba Fett's helmet's from Cad Bane, and we know obviously that he survived against Boba Fett. So this is it's set up wonderfully if they bring him in. And that character, come on, if you're Dave Filoni and you've already brought in Ahsoka, who is a super popular character, you've done these things and you transfer over. I cannot imagine in a million years. I would heavy betting odds that dude shows up in
Me too.
Book of Boba
I think
Fett.
he's gonna show up. I think we're gonna get Darth Maul, and I also think we're gonna get Darth Maul. I think we're gonna get Maul.
You think you're gonna get Maul in Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get some Crimson Dawn.
He's dead by then.
He is?
Fett. I mean, unless you do flashback. No, he's even then he's dead. He died. He died way before New Hope.
Oh yeah.
Obi-Wan killed him. Killed him, and he killed him when Luke was 8.
I'm mixing up the timeline. Yeah, I thought because when they were teasing it in Bad Batch episode, I'm like, oh, are we gonna get Crimson Dawn and Boba because they've been certain.
Right.
Yeah,
You're probably
right.
Who knows what the remnants of Crimson Dawn had been? I still think a miniseries with Crimson Dawn with Sam Witwer back as yes. Darth Maul. I think a miniseries could work. And that actually plays into this whole thing about season 2 of Boba Fett. I was okay when I thought Loki, by the way, was one and done, and I was cool with that. But now apparently there was a post-credit scene that said he's going to be back for season 2. Great, and I'll watch it, but I don't need it.
I agree.
I like these things where it's like, let's keep moving on. I mean, I understand the success of it. Yeah, well, it's got good ratings. It's not guaranteed the other ones will. Yeah, but that you're going to get people excited about it if you just let's give a one and done. And Tamora Morrison will keep working because he's every clone. And you can keep putting him in stuff, and he's in what they say. He's apparently Commander Cody in the Obi-Wan series, which is cool. They'll probably de-age him for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't need, and I could backtrack on this after I see it, but I don't necessarily need a second season of Boba Fett. If I don't know, depending on how they play it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't even necessarily need a season 1. I was just really excited that they were doing it because Boba is a character I've wanted them to flush out forever. But I think it would be a perfect miniseries.
That's it, and then that's why I would like to see a miniseries with Crimson Dawn, just so they're able to tie it up with. I've just raved about Star Wars Newsnet many times over, and you guys know how much I love Brian Ward. They have a whole hashtag thing of make Solo 2 happen. I am not in that movement. I am not in that movement. I don't ever need to see a Solo 2 movie. I don't care about that movie. But what I do care is the stuff that they set up in that movie with Crimson Dawn. And I would love to see Emilia Clarke back as Kira running in that circle. And if Han Solo shows up in it, all right, sure. But that's what I'd rather see. If you gave me a choice, if you could have the Mafia Syndicate kind of Crimson Dawn underworld stuff or Solo 2, come on. Easy.
Yes.
It's like pizza or carrots.
Exactly. Yeah. The part that was interesting lasting in Solo was the Crimson Dawn stuff that we got. No, it was like 5 minutes total.
But it was great.
It was so good.
It was great. I remember seeing that movie with Ken, and then when Darth Maul popped up, the crowd was, you could feel how confused they were because I thought he died in Phantom Menace. A lot of people nobody had watched, unless you're a hardcore fan, you didn't know that he was alive. So I remember leaning over to Ken going, ballsy. I was like, that's ballsy. People are not going to know what's going on. A lot of people are confused right now. He's like, yeah, definitely, but ballsy. We both liked it because that was the thing that I hope that they explore that. There were rumors around that they were going to do a Crimson Dawn series.
I feel like they were going to do that if they put that in like that, so minimally.
Yeah.
Like it was what they're doing now with characters like Cad Bane.
Right. And I think that, it just wouldn't be on my, and I understand, it wouldn't be on my list of priorities to get to, though, because if you've got this Acolyte series, which sounds so cool, and I love that they're exploring that timeline. You've got Ahsoka, and then you got Patty Jenkins' movie. You have all these things. The Crimson Dawn series, if it was even in development, I'd be like, yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something I would be interested to see, but it's not something that is, we got to get this going. People are craving
if they're doing their interconnected universe, so to speak, it's not necessary
right now. No. All right, jumping back into this article, the speculation begins. And as I said earlier, Gal writes, there is really no limit to the story and the character's free to do whatever he wants, which has to be very excited from a writing perspective. Right now, all we can speculate is who's going to be in the series. We know that there will be more characters appearing from The Mandalorian besides Fennec and Boba Fett himself, which this is smart, by the way, because Mandalorian has a lot of fans, new fans, OT Star Wars fans that know a lot of these characters that will then when they pop up, someone like people think that Din Djarin will show up. Please have Pedro Pascal show up. That would be amazing. Let's see, who else? Cobb Vanth they're talking about, which also makes sense. His appearance in The Marshal was clearly not supposed to be a one and done. But didn't he show back up? I thought he showed back up at the end of the... Didn't he show back up at the end of the Mandalorian Season 2?
I don't think so.
Didn't he go back and he asked for his help? I thought he came back to him. Did he not show up again? I thought he came back to him.
Maybe.
I don't remember. I got to watch this series again. It would be a shame to have an actor on the level of Timmy Oliphant signed and not use him more than one episode. I guess not. I always thought he came back, especially when you have a spin-off series that kicks in the exact same planet as the one where Vanth was last seen. Whether or not we'll see characters like Bo-Katan, Cosca Reeves, I don't think so, or Axe Woves. We don't know. Katie Sackhoff, who played Bo-Katan, both in live and voiced, was very clear in the year that she didn't know whether she'd be part of Mandalorian Season 3 or not. Well, we're supposed to have her on Big Thing soon. So
that'll be sick.
I'll prod. She's not gonna tell me anything, but I'll prod. But we don't know anything about Boba Fett. Even though this is not very specific, one of the pieces of crew gear we see above what seems to be a Wookiee arm, which belong to a creature that is out of frame. Okay, so Wookiee is great. I don't need Chewie on it. Make it a new Wookiee. As far as the story goes, the fact that Morrison's specifically mentioning that we're going to see what came after the events of Empire is interesting. Part of me wonders if he's even confusing Empire with Return of the Jedi, and that he actually meant to say that we're going to see how we got out of the Sarlacc pit. You'd assume we want to see that, right? That's got to be the stuff.
I think so, for sure.
Yeah, that's the main thing, and then Miguel kind of goes into that more or less about the Sarlacc pit. That's what everybody always wondered, was how the hell did he get out, right? And what it's going to be, and maybe they're just scared to do it because the reaction is either going to be, all right, that was dope, that how they did it, or that's it.
Yeah.
Because what you would assume is he fell into the thing's mouth, got caught on one of the teeth, was able to get himself out. Acid from the thing's belly is kind of going up. He's got to avoid it, and then he shoots out the thing's mouth with the rocket and gets the hell out of there. It's that simple.
It might be really quick.
Yeah, and then if I'm him, you go, why? Everybody's dead. Jabba's dead. Everybody's dead. Because that's all. Some people were confused. They're like, oh, but how is that? How's that place still around? Didn't it blow up? No, it was the ship. That wasn't the actual palace, Jabba's palace. And then he goes back to the palace years later, but he never went back. And when he could have went back to take out Bib, like then he didn't. Why? That's
what was he doing?
What was he doing? Why did he? When he took off, when he arrived after he got out of that Sarlacc pit, like why didn't he go back then? Why didn't he? Did he try to collect money? Like what did he do? How messed up was he from it? Right? Those scars all over his face, is that from the pit? Is that from maybe some of the acid from the thing's belly? Is that like? I would love. They have to explore that.
And then at what point did he lose his armor?
Right. Well, that was in the book in Aftermath.
Oh,
they
yeah,
show you. He loses it right after.
Aftermath.
He must lose it when he gets out of the pit.
Yeah.
And then they find it. But
and then
it's interesting because the Book of Boba Fett, to me, what it seems like and what I'm totally down for is the Book of Boba Fett is chapters throughout his life. So you could see maybe. I don't necessarily think Tamora Morrison was confused. I think Tamora Morrison was going over more so of you could have the stuff in between Empire. You could have the stuff when he meets up. Darth Vader could very well show up in this show, which would be great. And just a scene of in comics, the canon Boba Fett is the one who lets Darth Vader know that Luke is his son. He's the one that gives him that information. Or is able that it's a Skywalker. Doesn't necessarily know it's his son, but his name's Luke Skywalker, and then that's when he finds out about it. It's in one of those Marvel. I think it's either in the Star Wars comic or the Darth Vader line. I'm pretty sure it's the Darth Vader line with Boba Fett, and it's like this like evil Wookiee and all this stuff. It was a cool little story arc, but so that's possible to see that area in between 4, in between 5, seeing the Sarlacc pit. The Book of Boba Fett are chapters throughout this dude's life. Mm-hmm. The Mandalorian part of it is just another chapter. So if they did like 7 chapters and each episode was a chapter throughout the Book of Boba Fett, that sounds pretty fantastic.
That sounds really cool.
It's like Tale of the Bounty Hunters. That's what Simon Kinberg always wanted to do.
Yes, that's what I wanted to see. Yeah. And I think that they could use this as a vehicle to do just that.
I think that they will. I think they
should open up with the Sarlacc pit escape.
It's the first one?
Off the bat.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either.
I think because they want to establish what the tone is of the show, so you'll probably start in Jabba's palace, have a few of the setup of what the tone of the show is to establish the just the way that it's what's the word I'm looking for? The way it's going to work, the structure of the show.
Okay.
And so that way when they have the full episode, you're like, oh, so you're going to flash back, or you're going to get like this one's about this time period, this episode's about that time period. So maybe we do get the Cad Bane thing, which would be interesting if you flash back and you see that scene of Cad Bane and him that we saw in that animated thing where they shoot each other, but then you cut back into time now and him and Cad Bane finally duke it out. It's like a crossover in between. It's fascinating, and it's much more of why I'm more excited to see this than I was a spin-off movie that they were going to do a while ago.
100%.
Yeah. This makes more sense to me. All right, let's go through 1 or 2 more stories, and then we can call it a day today. Like I said, it's been pretty slow for news.
I got a People notification, ironically, just now that says Mark Hamill reveals he secretly appeared in every Star Wars movie since 2015.
Yeah.
That's not new news, is that?
No, I don't think so. I think that it just never was revealed. It was always rumored. Like he was the little alien in the casino in Last Jedi, and he was somebody in Solo. I can't remember who he was. Oh yeah, because
you just voiced multiple secret voice cameos.
Yeah, this is one last thing we'll cover, but it's about Obi-Wan. It's still, even though I'm looking forward to Boba Fett and the Acolyte, which is really jumping up there for me.
Me too.
Mandalorian season 3, all of it. Obi-Wan is
the one.
It's the one.
It's the one.
It really is. It's the one that ties it all together. And the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. This is from Miguel Fernandez. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show has been filming for almost 3 months now, and we have heard some of the cast members talk about the show and seen some leaked pictures of the actors in the black robes. But one of the people that has been almost absent for the conversation is actor Sung Kang, who's starring in the now in theaters Fast 9. He was announced to be part of the cast of the show back in late March, but little else is known about his character. Speaking to Rotten Tomatoes on Thursday, the actor described the mood on set. The feeling that I get on set is every single crew member, you look in their eyes, and it's like a kid going, I grew up watching Star Wars, like this is my dream to be here, to see one of the Star Wars characters or Darth Vader character or, one of the Jedi walking around. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So there we have official confirmation that Sung Kang's character has at least been on set with Darth Vader, but it's more than that because he's also saying that there are multiple Jedi characters in the show, that is, besides Obi-Wan himself, and that he's been on set with at least one of them. One could think that that's just the way he phrased the sentence, but he can put that together with Moses Ingram's lightsaber training video from early May and conclude that there may be more than one non-red red lightsaber wielders in the show. When Kang's casting was announced, many speculated that he might be playing a pod racer on Tatooine. We don't know if that's true, but we do know that his character comes across both Vader and at least one Jedi. In addition to that, he also wears a costume. He said, I used to dress up in these Halloween costumes, like I had a Darth Vader one, Luke Skywalker. It was put together like duct tape. And after a while, and the fact that I'm actually on set and they're putting like a Star Wars costume on me, come on, dude, like pinch yourself, right? All right, so this particular, there's a lot to go on here.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world to me that there'd be multiple Jedi in this series. And that's why I never understood when people were like, we don't need an Obi-Wan series, and Vader didn't need to be in it, and this and that, and there should be no, because everything's dead. Do you know how many Jedi there were? And do you know how many Jedi got? They didn't kill all of the Jedi right away. And Obi-Wan tells Luke, Vader went down and hunted and killed all the Jedi. Him and the Emperor and the Inquisitors. You're going to see an Inquisitor in this series. There's no doubt about it. We're finally going to see a lot of the Jedi purge, which we haven't seen in live action stuff, right? So when it didn't take 3 months. It took years upon years, and there was the Force Unleashed video game. Did you ever play that game?
I think I have played that game a few times.
The Sam Witwer one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts off, which it's not canon, but it was fascinating. And it starts off as the Jedi Purge is still happening, and Vader's just wrecking Jedi left and right. And he this is when he finds young Sam Witwer as a kid, and then takes him on as his apprentice. But like that type of stuff is. We haven't seen a lot of that. So if there's still Jedi running around and they're trying to stay quiet and Vader's running around hunting people down, and Hayden Christensen's in it, you don't just put him in there for one scene.
No
you have Vader be part of it, and Vader starts hunting people down, and you're like, oh, this is this episode of Obi-Wan is just Vader taking out some of these Jedi, and Obi-Wan like wakes up to the Force and goes, okay, this dude's out there. I gotta do something. So I think that, absolutely, we're going to see more Jedi out there besides just Sith. Do you think so?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think this is why everyone's so excited about this show, because after the way that we ended things with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader was not ended.
Right.
And then we just picked up somewhere and don't know anything in the decades that happened really between the two.
8 years later, yeah.
Yeah, and there was so much that happened before picking up to the next movie. So I think that you have to show that, and Obi-Wan can't be the only focus of the show. You have to have a B plot that connects to it, and I think that's going to be Darth Vader.
It can be Vader. It can be the Jedi trying to survive. It's all of it, and it's not just going to be these side missions of Obi-Wan on Tatooine. It's not. He's going to keep young Luke safe. He's going to make. So, I mean, we know that that Joel Edgerton is in it, so there's going to be these scenes with him and Uncle Owen. They're going to develop Uncle Owen a little bit more. So. This is shaping up to be something pretty special. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for you guys for joining us here today. Both Steph and I enjoying doing Sith Council. Mike wasn't obviously here this week. He'll be back next week. Had some stuff he had to do.
Chicken.
He's eating a lot of chicken. So make sure you subscribe to the Apple Podcast feed or the Spotify or wherever podcasts are found. Please check us out. That is what helps us tremendously. We don't do the schmobots on this show. It's straight conversation, but we need you guys to help us out. So please download these episodes, listen to these episodes, subscribe, follow us, whatever you can do. Thank you to Steph Sabran. Thank you to you guys. We'll see you on the flip side, homie.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.